explaining what Second Life did, which was kind of all of this stuff. This is about 2003. We had digital assets. Like I said, you could put a price on them. You could make them transferable. And he stood up and he said, the most important thing that creates value for these digital goods is that they be alienable. And he used this legal word, alienable. I had never heard that word, and I didn't have an iPhone back then. This was before the iPhone. And so I quietly thought to myself, well, I don't know what that word means. And I'm smiling and nodding. And I don't remember whether I looked it up later or I had the guts to ask Lawrence right then. But of course, that word alienable is precisely the promise offered by transferable digital goods. It's, you know, the idea that an asset, that something that you own, can be given away without needing to do anything other than you handing it to someone. And that's this concept, legal concept of alienable. And I really love that. So yeah, Second Life is utterly driven then and now by a reliance on the concept of a digital good that can be transferred between people, and moreover, a currency that enables free transactions to occur, you know, in a fairly frictionless way inside the environment. So no, this stuff comes and goes. You know, I think we had excitement around digital goods back in 2016 or 17, and now with NFTs, particularly focused on this idea of artworks, we're seeing it again in 2021.
Mm-hmm. And then kicking it over to Esteban. Esteban, I'm curious as to what your opinion or definition is of the metaverse, and then also as someone who is kind of developing this virtual world after you saw examples from Second Life and things like that. Obviously, Decentraland is a play on for the decentralized aspect of things. So can you talk about, obviously, the definition of the metaverse to you, and then kind of how you've been trying to progress this aspect of self-ownership, so once you've seen examples of other virtual worlds and stuff like that?
Cool. So, yeah, building on the shoulders of giants like Second Life and all the different things that came before us. I also don't have a very precise definition of whether we want or we need like a global metaverse for all of our online activity, but I do think that in some sense we are evolving all of our software towards that. I think that in the past there were no applications, there were just protocols. You had email or the web, and we've started to stratify on the current segmentation between applications. And I'm not trying to make a judgment of whether that's good or bad, but it's just something that happened with computation in general. And even though I think that interoperability of some things, it's pretty interesting, for me, the biggest question in the space is what gives me the rights, or what are the economic rights for me to be able to render something in your screen. If you've got a wearable in Decentraland, and maybe that takes up a lot of vertices and a lot of processing time out of your machine, like what gives me the right of like applying a shader and all the security consequences of executing arbitrary code in your machine. So for me, the question of where is the metaverse, or where are all of our software and applications going, centers around that. Like, what are the resources that we need to run our systems, and what are the social agreements that we create to share a vivid experience, a high fidelity experience between each other.
Right. And is that one of the most difficult aspects of creating this decentralized virtual world? Is this peer-to-peer interaction with people's different systems and stuff like that, all communicating at once, or has it been something else?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to have Decentraland make as little decisions as possible inside of Decentraland, so everyone can come in and recreate whatever they want, whatever experience they want to share with the world inside in there. And I think that was the guiding question for myself, like what are the barriers that would allow users to continue experience a performing experience, a good performing rendering of this virtual world without making devices like stutter and whatever, but also allowing as much as possible inside of the virtual world. And well, land parcels are in that sense like this right to deploy your experience in that virtual world, kind of like encoding the attention of users that pass by that land. I guess that was the idea that brought Decentraland to life.
Mm-hmm.